Hi, very good morning. I'm Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. All my video lectures are for educative purpose. They will be very helpful to fourth year students and interns during your oral exam, theory, etc. Today we'll be discussing on one of the very useful topic which you must be aware of it and you must know everything in and out regarding vital signs. Just little introduction of vital signs, and then we'll be talking on what we call as measurement of body temperature. So there are some of the vital signs which we usually look for. That is, we always call TPR. We call temperature, pulse, respiration, and then we measure blood pressure. There are a few other things which are also included. One is pain and oxygen. Some people, they do include in vital signs. When we say vital signs, mental status is included, or we call general condition, level of consciousness, that we usually mention as a mental status, and pulse oximeter is also included. So we'll be talking on vital signs. What do you exactly mean by vital signs? This vital signs is a measurement of temperature, pulse, blood pressure, which reflects the function of three body processes, that is regulation of body temperature, heart function, and respiration. These are very useful because they indicate that patient is alive or not, and they indicate the status of the patient. And by including examination of skin, examination of pulse oximeter, and what we call as level of consciousness, further clarity is being given regarding a vital signs. So we always call TPR, that is temperature, pulse, respiration, blood pressure, pain, and oxygen concentration, or we call pulse oximeter. Regarding pain, usually there are certain charts which are being available, which can be utilized to find out the severity of the pain. So pain assessment, skin color, pupils examination regarding we call as the size and reaction to light, level of consciousness, response to a stimulus, etc. are included in vital signs. This further increases the clarity of vital data. There is also another way of mentioning is pulse, respiration, blood pressure, eye, heart sounds, lung sounds, level of consciousness, and skin, whichever way you remember. So, when to assess the vital signs? Any person who is admitted in a healthcare, depending upon the institutional policy and procedures, anytime if there is change in the patient condition, suppose patient deteriorates, vital signs will be very useful to find out whether he is deteriorating or whether he is improving. Before and after surgical procedure, invasive procedure, any diagnostic procedure, etc. Before and after activity which increases the risk, and before administering any medicines that affects the cardiovascular system and respiratory system, you must assess the vital signs. There are a few things which we always include while measuring a vital signs. When we want to measure a vital signs, when we are measuring a physical examination on admission, as per the patient condition, before surgery, after surgery and during surgery, before and after diagnostic test, in a person who gets a fall and injury, before and after certain medication which has got effect on blood pressure, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, complaint which increases and decreases the vital data, and usually this has to be measured at a regular interval. You can take vital data during sitting posture or lying down posture, and you should record it on a graphical sheets. It is a very important indicator of health of a body, and it gives the status of a vital organ functions like brain, respiration, cardiovascular system. So it becomes the utmost important. Nowadays there are what we call as monitors which are available, which continuously gives you a recording of all the vital data, mainly including pulse, blood pressure, even respiration, oxygen concentration, etc. And there are multiple other different varieties of monitors which are available, which can give you mean arterial pressure also. When you are doing a physical examination, you will need stethoscope, blood pressure, otoscope, ophthalmoscope, thermometer, pulse oximeter, etc. So these are all the instruments which are being required. Stethoscope, sphygmomanometer, different types of sphygmomanometers are there. This is pulse oximeter, this is otoscope, this is again a type of a thermometer which is available, and you can utilize the modern monitors which are there available in ICU. Say one person is admitted, on admission blood pressure is 120/80, pulse is 80, respiration is 18, blood pressure remains same. Now you can see that pulse is increasing, respiration is increasing, blood pressure there is a slight fluctuation, but pulse is increasing further, respiration is steady, but still there is a tachypnea. Then blood pressure further falls. This indicates that patient is deteriorating. So remember that if any person who is admitted, what we call the basal on admission, vital data record is very important to compare progress towards deterioration or improvement. Level of consciousness is measured by AVPU. A person is fully alert. When you ask some questions, person is fully alert, we call as alert. And when person does not respond to your verbal stimulus and he is still not responding, we call them as drowsy, is disoriented, is not fully alert on verbal stimulus. Now he does not respond to a verbal stimulus, he responds to a painful stimulus, but even on a painful stimulus he is still not oriented in time, place and person. We call disoriented, we call as a stupor. As soon as the painful stimulus is withdrawn, person goes back to deep sleep, and person does not respond to any verbal stimulus or a painful stimulus. We call unresponsive, or we call as a coma. These are the 4 different stages which we commonly utilize, and a very rapid method of finding out the level of consciousness. That is alert, verbal stimulus, painful stimulus, and unresponsiveness. There is another way, it is called as a ACDU, that is same as A for alert, C for response to a verbal stimulus, D for partial response to painful stimulus, and U for unconsciousness. So AVPU means alert, person responds appropriately and he is oriented in time, place, person and event. When he is not alert but he responds to now verbal stimulus, he makes little sounds or movement when spoken to him, and again as soon as the verbal stimulus is withdrawn he goes back to sleep, we call as a drowsy. He responds to a painful stimulus only and he makes a little sounds, and as soon as the painful stimulus is withdrawn he again goes back to deep sleep. During both this, when you try to arouse him, the person does not answer any questions and is disoriented. We call here is drowsy, we call here is stupor, and when is unresponsive we call that as coma. Now what is body temperature? Body temperature is a balance between the heat production within the body and heat loss from the body. Now there is a constant metabolic process which is going on in each cells which produces thermal energy during ATP production and metabolism that maintains certain amount of body temperature. We call it as the external core body temperature or surface temperature, and there is internal inside the body the temperature is being maintained, and that is called as the internal body temperature. There is a heat production, at the same time there is a heat loss from the body. This heat loss is by means of loss by micturition, that is heat loss in urine, heat loss while passing stool, sweating, etc. And this particular tries to maintain an optimum body temperature, because body temperature is required optimum for maintaining the metabolism of different cells. We are not going into detail how exactly the body temperature is being produced, lost, etc. while doing approach to what we call as fever. We'll be mentioning some of those things. Body temperature is measured by a thermometer either in Celsius or we call centigrade or in a Fahrenheit. If you want to convert Celsius into Fahrenheit, you require a special formula. We call, if it is Fahrenheit, divide by 1.8 plus 32. And if you want to convert a Fahrenheit into centigrade, then Fahrenheit temperature minus 32 multiplied by what we call as 5 by 9. So you have to use that particular formula. For measuring a body temperature, you require an instrument called as a thermometer. There are different types of thermometers which are available. The best standard thermometer is called as a mercury thermometer or a glass thermometer. And in that there are two types. One which we utilize to keep it in the oral cavity or in the axilla, we call as the oral thermometer. And there is another which is called as a rectal thermometer, which has got a rounded tip, and the marking on that are different from marking on a oral thermometer. There are second group we call a electronic thermometer or digital thermometer. These are very easy to use because it directly gives you a reading and you can read them on a thermometer scale. Only difficulty in electronic thermometer, it works on a battery and it is made up of what we call as instrument which is containing a electronic circuits. So there are always a chances of error. There is another group of thermometer we call as a chemical thermometer, which as it comes in a contact with the heat, the color of that chemical will change, and as the color of that chemical changes, you can see the reading, and that is chemical thermometer. These are the thermometer which are usually utilized in a children, where it becomes difficult to utilize oral thermometers or rectal thermometers. Then usually we utilize the chemical thermometers. But again there is an error. These chemical thermometers are affected by external environmental temperatures, etc. There are infrared thermometers which are commonly utilized for measuring a tympanic temperature or external skin temperature, we call temporal temperature, etc. There are certain sensitive strips which are also available that are again working on a chemical mechanism which can be utilized. So there are different types. These are what we call as the chemical thermometers. And depending upon the color change, you can measure the body temperature. So that will be one of the way of measuring that. This is oral temperature measurements. This is for rectal. You can see this is a rounded tip, and this is a long tip. And here the scale will be different. It is right up to 108. Here also it is 100. Sometimes this is little more also. So these are the two different types of thermometers which are there. This is for tympanic. This is called infrared thermometer, tympanic thermometer. This is electronic or digital thermometer, mainly utilized for oral body temperature and occasionally for axillary. These are infrared thermometer, mainly very commonly utilized for children's, for temporal and for what we call as a tympanic. These are glass thermometer. These are digital thermometer, different types of digital. These are chemical thermometer, or we call thermosticks, chemically treated paper, tympanic thermometers, etc. These are chemical. Different types. And when you put that thermometer in an oral cavity, we call oral recording, rectal, axillary, tympanic, temporal, etc. We'll be going through each in a short. This is tympanic, this is rectal thermometer, rectal measurements, this is axillary, this is oral, this is oral, this is temporal, again this is axillary, this is temporal, this is tympanic, this is rectal measurement. Now we are going through one method of measuring a temperature, and then we'll be giving you advantages, disadvantages of. This is a glass thermometer. These are what we call as electronic or digital thermometers. Always glass is better than all other, but depending upon the situation you can use. This is for axillary, again glass thermometer, digital thermometers. Then there are special rectal thermometers which are available. Mainly it is available in from the glass. You can have a digital rectal thermometers which has got a little tip like this. You can utilize this. And then you have got what we call the tympanic thermometers, different types of tympanic thermometer to make it more and more accurate. Got the different types of digital combination with infrared lights. And these are all called chemical thermometers. These are chemical thermometers, these are thermometer sticks. These are chemicals. You can see that it is put on the end depending upon the heat, external body temperature, the color will change, but this also gives you a false reading because those are affected by external environmental temperature. These are for oral. This is rectal thermometer. This is rectal thermometer. You can see here. This is rounded tip. This is elongated tip, long tip. Gold standard method, always keep the thermometer for minimum 2 to 5 minutes. Some people say up to 7 minutes for an accurate body temperature. By and large, when you use a glass thermometer, there is always a risk of a break, because if a person is not cooperative, it can break. Being a glass, it can produce injury, because sharp edges of that broken glass can produce injury. And invariably this glass thermometers contains mercury, and when it is kept in an oral cavity, it can produce mercury toxicity. So exposure to mercury can be there. And whenever you take a record, put it on a sheet so that you can get what we call as a temperature chart, which is very useful to find out the type of temperature. So we call as a TPR chart, which will be very helpful. And this temperature can be taken rectally, axillary, tympanic, oral, whichever way you take it, and you can put it on a chart. So there are different methods. When you put it in the oral cavity, we call it the oral body temperature. When you measure the tympanic temperature, axillary temperature or rectal temperature, or you can measure external temperature, we call it a temporal temperature. For temporal, you need an infrared. For ear also, you have to use an infrared instruments. While axillary, rectum and oral cavity can be measured by glass thermometer, by digital thermometer, etc. And there are now digital thermometers also available for rectal measurement also. And temperature you can record in Fahrenheit or in a Celsius. Accurate measurement of body temperature is very useful to confirm 100% that person body temperature is elevated, normal or low. When it is less than a normal level, we call as a hypothermia. When it is normal, we call as normal body temperature or apyrexia. And when the body temperature is elevated above the normal, we call as a pyrexia or fever or elevated body temperature. Never use this touch sensation for measurement of body temperature like this. Never use this. Never use the palm. It can give you a false interpretation of either a normal body temperature or elevated body temperature. So that should not be utilized. What is normal body temperature? Normal body temperature in Fahrenheit. Usually in India we always measure in Fahrenheit. So it is called 98.6 degree Fahrenheit. The range is from 97 to 99.5 degree Fahrenheit. And when it is elevated above 101.4, now it is 100.4, then it is considered as elevated body temperature, and you call that person is having fever or pyrexia. One of the way of measuring a body temperature is also fresh voided urine. If you measure immediately, it can give you an accurate core body temperature. But by and large, this is not commonly utilized. Rectal body temperature is higher than oral and also higher than tympanic. And you have to keep a thermometer for minimum 2 minutes or even longer to get an accurate body temperature. So usually oral or rectal, you will have to keep a thermometer for minimum 2 to 5 minutes. Tympanic does not require longer because it is an infrared measurements. When you are measuring in an axillary, you might have to keep for more than 5 minutes. Now, axillary temperature will be less than oral body temperature, and oral body temperature is less than rectal body temperature. Indirectly, axillary is the lowest, second lowest, is oral and highest is rectal. Approximately axillary is almost close to oral or close to what we call as external core body temperature, while rectal is close to internal body temperature. Most accurate sites of measurement for an internal temperature is distal third part of esophagus. If you put a thermometer or measurement instruments in an esophagus, it will give you an accurate body temperature. Or even by infrared instruments, you can measure the tympanic temperature, but there are some factors which can change. There is another way of measuring a temperature inside the pulmonary artery. No one will measure a body temperature, internal body temperature, by these procedures. So best procedure is by oral or by tympanic or by axillary or by rectal, etc. While measuring a oral body temperature, you have to keep the thermometer below the tongue and maintain that for minimum 2 to 5 minutes. So it is accessible, very easy to measure, it is dependable, and it is accurate and convenient. Now only thing is, in person with some oral pathophysiology, say like aphthous ulcer, or person who is having seizures, or a non-cooperative person, it becomes little difficult. And particularly in the children, because they will be non-cooperative and they will not maintain the position of a tip of the thermometer below the tongue. So oral body temperature in a children will be difficult to measure. So usually it is not utilized very commonly in a children. Yes, grown-up children, they will understand, in those you can utilize that. Now what are the different factors which affects the oral body temperature? So before measuring oral body temperature, you should see that the oral body temperature is measured properly. So chewing can increase the body temperature by almost 0.3 degrees centigrade. A use of ice cold water in an oral cavity, if say person has taken an ice cream or person has consumed ice cold water, it can also change the oral body temperature. Hot liquids like hot tea, coffee can also change the body temperature, oral temperature, sorry. Smoking can also change the body temperature. A tachypnea can also change the body temperature. It can elevate. So indirectly, chewing, hot foods, smoking, tachypnea will increase your oral body temperature, while ice cold water will produce a fall in oral temperature. Even a person who has got a habit of chewing tobacco can also make a change. While oxygen by a nasal cannula will not change a oral body temperature. A presence of wax can decrease the temperature if you are measuring a tympanic temperature. So indirectly, all these things should be ruled out before putting what we call as oral body temperature. Now while measuring a oral body temperature, glass thermometer is the best. Another alternative is an electronic thermometer, but always keep it in mind, electronic thermometer can give you a false reading because they are basically an instruments, electronic instruments, and they depend upon the battery, etc. While you are using a glass thermometer, you have to shake the thermometer properly and bring down the mercury column below what we call as 35 degree or below, there is an hook which is there in a mercury thermometer. Insert the thermometer under the tongue. Tell the patient to close the oral cavity and lips. Maintain it for 3 to 5 minutes. Now read the temperature. Again you can reinsert for a minute and reread it, and then have an accurate body temperature measurement. If still the temperature is rising, repeat the procedure until the temperature is stable. Ideally, this is considered to be the best method of taking a body temperature, and it is contraindicated in very few conditions. In children, usually for a oral body temperature, you utilize a electronic thermometer rather than using a glass thermometer, because they are non-cooperative, and if they bite, glass thermometer can break and it can produce injury and it can produce mercury effects. Toxicity. Mercury will be swallowed and it can produce toxic effects. Electronic thermometers are commonly utilized in children. Now there are few things which has to be very important. Means while taking a body temperature in certain patient, it becomes very difficult, and in certain condition it may be contraindicated. If a person does not understand what you are instructing, then you cannot measure the oral body temperature. So person who cannot follow the instruction to keep their mouth closed, it becomes difficult. In a younger children, or we call newborn children's, oral body temperature is little difficult. Person with epilepsy or mentally retarded, unconscious person, client who is constantly receiving oxygen, client with persistent cough because he cannot maintain the position of thermometer, uncooperative person or person who is having a oral pathophysiology which is giving rise to severe pain, a person who has undergone recent major surgery, nasal obstruction, a restless person, a person with a seizures or status epilepticus, person with a nasal tube, gastric tube or endotracheal tubes, etc. In all these people, oral body temperature may be very difficult. Hence, it should not be taken, or indirectly we call as contraindication. Also, person who finds difficulty in breathing or person who has got tachypnea, can't close the mouth for any reason. If there is an inflammation in the oral cavity like aphthous ulcer, malignancy, tongue ulcer, unconscious person, very young individual, young children's, newborn children's, we already mentioned, oral surgery, broken jaw, unconscious, agitated person, person with a status epilepticus, seizures, etc. So in all this condition, it becomes difficult to measure the oral body temperature. So second mode is auxiliary. It is safe, it is inexpensive, but sometimes it becomes inaccurate, because when you put this tip, if it is not in a close contact with skin, it gives you a false reading. As well as position and the time period for maintaining a body temperature record, you must keep it properly. You have to keep it for a longer period. Patient must be still. So if a person is having epilepsy, or if a person who is not cooperative to measure the oral body temperature, it is difficult. At the same time, in a person who is non-cooperative and having epilepsy or we call seizures, auxiliary body temperature becomes also difficult. In children, you can manage to take that. Again, it is little difficult, but in children also, it is little difficult. So, if oral you cannot take it, try to measure by auxiliary. So this is the way, and you will have to maintain that position for a longer period, at least for 5 to 10 minutes, and then you can record the body temperature. Now there are certain disadvantages. Advantage is safe, non-invasive, least accurate, that is disadvantage. So this is the way you keep it. It has to be in a close contact with the skin. It should not be in the armpit where it is hanging, and axilla should be tightly closed. Maintain that position for a longer period, almost 5 to 10 minutes. Now, if a person is absolutely thin, emaciated, it becomes very difficult. If there is a local inflammation, again person will not be able to maintain the position. In an unconscious patient, in a person who has been in a peripheral shock, it will be very difficult to record the accurate body temperature. So in a person with a peripheral shock, axillary or skin body temperature will be very difficult to give you the exact body temperature, which is called internal core body temperature. So if that is not possible, you will have to go for rectal. And if rectal is not possible, you will have to go for oral. So these are the three things you will have to decide which will be the best for that particular person. So rectal is usually commonly utilized in children. Again, while taking a rectal body temperature, you will have to have a proper position, put properly the thermometer in the rectal and maintain the position for at least 3 to 5 minutes and then take the temperature. The advantage of that is, best advantage is it is very accurate. And if you hold the legs properly, it will be easy to record a rectal temperature. And you have to insert the tip at least 1 inch inside and hold it in the place and see that the child does not move. And while taking this, you will have to keep a watch that if you are using a glass thermometer, the chance of rectal injury is always there. Now there are rectal digital thermometers which are available, so those are little better. The chances of traumatic injury or glass injury becomes less. So rectal temperature most reliable, must hold the thermometer in place for minimum 5 minutes. It is more accurate than even an oral body temperature. One thing, while taking that, you will have to utilize a lubrication. You have to maintain the thermometer position for minimum 5 to 10 minutes. If you use a glass thermometer, chances of trauma is there. In newborns, little difficult to maintain that position. If you can maintain, it is very good. In a children with diarrhea, proctitis, rectal surgery, rectal bleeding, piles, fissure, fistula, CA, prolapse, perianal abscess, you cannot utilize this because this will change the rectal body temperature. So in a rectal surgery, fecal infections, newborn infants, it becomes little difficult. In little adult people, it is embracing conditions. You may not be able to convince them. Position you have to maintain, it is little odd position and you have to maintain that position and keep the thermometer for minimum 5 minutes. And after recording that, you can put it in a TPR chart. The accurate thermometer is again a glass thermometer, but always a chance of traumatic injury by a glass thermometer is always there. If the glass thermometer is broken, it can produce injury and bleeding. Then comes tympanic temperature. That is what we call as infrared thermometers. This particular temperature recording is affected by external environment, that is external heat or external cold like AC or heating instruments, hot packs, ice packs, heating blankets, etc. can be affecting the tympanic temperature. Or if there is an extreme outside temperature is change, air conditioner, overheated rooms, very hot rooms or very cold rooms, or very hot external climate or very cold external climates, all this can change. Even a person who has undergone swimming or who has taken a steam bath, etc. can also change. You will have to wait for a longer period to tympanic temperature to come back to original, and then you should take the tympanic temperature. It is non-invasive, very safe. It is as accurate as oral body temperature. The only disadvantage is there between your infrared and tympanic membrane. If there is a foreign body, wax, pus, blood, anything of that sort can interfere with your body temperature. So you have to maintain that. You don't require a longer period, only you require 2 to 5 seconds. It is not affected by breathing. You don't require a special position. It is not affected by food, drinks or smoking, and you can use it at any age group, even in an unconscious patient also. You can utilize in newborn, infants, small children at any age groups. So this becomes a very good method, but only thing you have to see that external environmental temperature is maintained. Even it is useful in a confused patient and uncooperative patients. Now we come to what measurements you take and when you call as abnormal and normal. We already told you normal range is from 97 to 99.5. Lowest body temperature is in the early morning and highest is in the late afternoon. So if you are measuring a body temperature early morning, it may be close to 97, and where you are measuring in the afternoon, it may be close to the upper limit. Oral body temperature is higher than axillary and rectal is higher than oral. If your body temperature falls below 95, we call it a hypothermia, and if it is more than 104, we call it a hyperthermia. And if it is more than 100.4, it is considered as elevated body temperature, we call fever. So if body temperature is more than 100.4 degree Fahrenheit, you take that as fever. And rectal temperature and tympanic temperature are 1 degree higher than oral, and axillary and temporal are 1 degree lower than oral. Then another vital data which we usually skip is pain measurements. There are visual analog scores and facial scores. There are charts which are available. Roughly you can calculate, depending upon the facial expression, 0 or up to 10 different figures are there on that chart. You can utilize that, or depending upon the description, depending upon the facial expression, you can say mild, moderate, severe, etc. Pulse oximeter is another very easy, but you will have to again see that the pulse oximeter is standardized pulse oximeter which you can utilize for vital data. It is considered as a fifth vital data. Then you can examine the skin for coldness, color. So color, pink color is normal, pallor is abnormal, cyanosis is abnormal, jaundice is abnormal. Normally skin is always warm, but if it is hot, it is abnormal, and if it is cold clammy, it is abnormal. Cold clammy is usually in a peripheral shock. Hot is commonly with elevated body temperature, we call as a fever or pyrexia. So you look for that particular, and then you can look for the moisture. Dry is very commonly in case of a dehydration, and moist or diphoretic very commonly because of profuse perspiration. So it can give you a good idea if you look at the color, temperature and moisture conditions. There is another very useful thing, particularly to look in a peripheral shock, that is we call as the capillary refilling time. You press on a nail, so that we call as a nail capillary refilling time, and when you press on the palm, we call capillary refilling time in a palm. You press for few seconds, release it, and see how fast color comes back, or we call restoration of the color. If it is prolonged, we call as capillary refilling time is prolonged, and it is a characteristic in a case of a peripheral shock. It is quite useful to find out a peripheral shock. Pupil examination, that is without light, compare the two sides. If it is unequal, we call anisocoria. If both are constricted, we call as a miosis. If both are dilated, we call mydriasis. The border should be round, regular in size, both should be equal, and they should be reacting to light. So that you should examine. We'll be discussing in detail whenever we discuss pupillary examination. There is another thing which is also very useful for regarding a vital data is intake and output chart. From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. next day 8 a.m. 8 a.m. to next day 8 a.m. Keep a full measurements of whatever fluid intake he is taking, and measurements of output, mainly in the form of a urine output, should be measured. And if there is any other mode of which the fluid loss is there, like vomiting, loose motion, should be also kept, or we call as a drainage, that record should be kept, and you can utilize that. So these are some of the things which you should do along with other vital data like temperature, pulse, blood pressure, and respiration. I hope this will be helpful to you in your oral exam, in your theory, and in your everyday practice. If you like this video, please press button like, and if you feel that this is useful to other people, please share it with your friends. It will be useful. It will be useful to you in your oral exams, theory exams, etc., and in your private practice also. You can subscribe and share with your friends. Now I thank you all for taking out time. I know that your time is valuable, and I appreciate you for spending some of the time with me, and I feel that this will be very, very helpful to you, particularly for fourth year students and interns.